Hello everybody, how are you today? We will explain about adverbs and preposition. Before that, I will introduce our member. I'm Zia.
I'm Haris.
I'm ULFA.
I'm Tantyo.
First explain is about adverbs and order. And then yet, till, and already. And then adverbs of degree, very, quite. And then quiet and rather, and the last to and enough. Okay, for the first, I will explain about adverbs and word order. Do you know that? Yes. Adverb divided among three sections. First, initial position. Second, end position. Third, mid position. Initial position. You can use adverb before subject. For example, suddenly Walter got up, or sometimes I play golf at the weekend. And mid position, we use adverb before the verb or after the first auxiliary verb but before the main verb. For the example, Jim doesn't always remember to take his medication. Do you usually have lunch that early? And the end position, like she finished her drink quickly or Walter got up suddenly. Now, I will explain you about adverb of manner. These adverbs are put behind the direct object or behind the verb if there's no direct object. For the example, he drove the car carefully or he drove carefully. Now, adverbs of place. Like adverbs of manner, these adverbs are put behind the direct object or the verb. Example is, I didn't see him here, he stayed behind. Now I will explain about adverb of time. Adverbs of time are usually put at the end of the sentence. If you don't want to put emphasis on the time, you can also put the adverb of the time at the beginning of the sentence. For the example is, I will tell you the story tomorrow. Or we can use tomorrow, I will tell you the story. And the last, adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency are put directly before the main verb. For example, I often go swimming in the evening. He doesn't always play tennis. We are usually here in summer. Or I have never been abroad. And then I will explain you about yet, till, and already. Yet usually goes at the end of a negative statement or a question. Yet refers to an action that is expected in the future. It is not used in the past. To ask if something expected has happened, it is usually placed at the end of the sentence or question. For example, are we there yet? To say that something expected hasn't happened. Example, Mary can't go home yet. She hasn't finished her work. Often we use still and yet together to explain why an action is continuing. Example, I am still studying at the university because I haven't graduated yet. Still, in a positive statement, still usually go in mid position. Still is used to say an action or situation continues to the present because it has not finished. Notice the position of still before the verb or adjective. Example, do you still live with your parents? If the verb has two parts, still goes between word to verb. Example, she started her exam an hour ago and she is still answering the question. But if one of two verbs is negative, still goes before negative verb. Example, Lucy has stopped smoking, but her brother still hasn't quit. Already. Already is used to refer to an action that happened sooner than expected. In present tense sentence, it is placed between the subject and verb. Present and present perfect question, it comes immediately after the subject. However, in present perfect sentence, the order is subject plus have plus already plus past participle. Okay, Zia, thank you. Now I will explain about adverb of degree. Adverb of degree usually used to tell us about the intensity or degree of an action and an adjective or another adverb. There are so many common adverb of degree, such as almost, nearly, quiet, just, too, enough, hardly, very, extremely, and the others. When we use the adverb of degree, we must know where the adverb of degree must be placed. The first is adverb of degree must place before the adjective or adverb. The example is, the water was extremely cold. From the example, we know that the adverb of degree is placed before the adjective, and the adjective is cold. The second example is, he worked very quickly. From the example, the position of adverb of degree is before the adverb, and the adverb is quickly. The second place is before the main verb. The example is, he was just leaving. He has almost finished. The main verb is leaving and the adverb of degree is just. Okay. Next is, an adverb of degree makes the meaning weaker or stronger. This is the diagram about the position of adverb of degree that shows about the small degree or the weaker, the medium degree, and the large degree. Okay, this is the diagram. The example of small degree is little and slightly. Next, the medium degree is the example is fairly, pretty, and rather. And the last is the large degree or the stronger is absolutely, completely, extremely, and really. Okay, now I will explain about very. Very is one part of common adverb of degree. Very usually goes before an adverb or adjective to make it stronger. And the example is, the girl was very beautiful. From the example, we know the position that the adverb of degree, the very, is before the adjective. And the second example is, he worked very quickly. Okay, now is about the quiet and rather. Okay, quiet means fairly or a medium amount. The example is, first, the film was quite good, but the book was much better. From the sentence, we know that the film is medium good, but not too good. Rather, the book. So, from the example, the book is much better from the film. And the next example is, she lives quite near me, so we can see each other quite often. And the last example is, I quite like reading, but it is not my favorite pastime. Quiet also means completely. The example is, he has quite recovered from his next in the sentences. Quiet is usually goes before a preposition a or an. The example is, he is quite a good soccer player. The meaning from the sentences is not a quite good soccer player. And now is rather is similar to quiet and usually use rather mainly with negative words and negative ideas. The example is, he is sleeping rather badly. What was the examination like? Rather difficult. I am afraid. I was quite pleased with the hotel, but she was rather disappointed. When we use rather with positive words, it means unusually or surprisingly. The example, these pears are rather nice. Where did you buy them? The next is to and enough. To goes before an adjective or adverb. So we use to before an adjective or adverb. For example, Claire doesn't want to marry Henry. She thinks he's too old. And the other, we can use too many and too much go before a noun. For mati kon balen kita awal. Kepena. To and enough. To goes before an adjective or adverb. For example, Clive doesn't want to marry Henry. She thinks he's too old. And then, too many and too much go before a noun. For example, no wonder you're tired. You have been going to too many parties. Or, Andrew spends too much time working. And for enough. Enough goes after an adjective or adverb. For example, the water isn't hot enough. It needs to be boiling, not enough hot. Enough go before noun. For example, everything is so expensive. Did you bring enough money? We use many with a plural noun and much with an uncountable noun. Okay, this is the last explains about test 20. For test 21, about preposition, will explain by Haris and Tantyo.
Preposition. What is preposition? Preposition is a word, one of the parts of speech, and a member of a closed word class that shows the relationship between a noun or pronoun and other words in a sentence. Here, preposition divided among 5 sections. First, preposition of place. Second, prepositional phrase. Third, at, on, and in. Fourth, for, since, ago, and before. Fifth, during or while, by or until, as or like. Preposition of place. Most of these prepositions can express either position, where something is. An example, the coin was under the sofa, or movement, where it is going. An example, the coin rolled under the sofa. The combination of a preposition and noun phrase is called a prepositional phrase. Preposition plus noun. Example, I'm traveling on business. I'll write the names in pencil. Noun plus preposition. Some nouns can have a preposition after them. The preposition often has a phrase with a noun after it. An example, the answer to the problem. Preposition can sometimes have an ing form after it. An example, there is skill at trampolining. Adjective plus preposition. Some adjectives can have a preposition after them. The preposition often has a phrase with a noun or pronoun after it. An example, a note at the way you behave. The preposition can sometimes have an ing form after it. An example, tired of talking to myself. Add on and in. Add on and in can use as preposition place or preposition time. The first section is preposition of time. We use add to designate specific times. For example, the train is due at 12:15 p.m. We use on to designate days and date. For example, my brother is coming on Monday. We use in for non-specific time during a day, a month, a season, or a year. For example, she likes to jog in the morning. The second section is preposition of place. We use at for specific addresses. For example, Grammar English lives at 55 Board Road in Durham. We use on to designate names of street, avenues, etc. For example, the house is on Board Road. And we use in for the names of land areas such as towns, counties, states, countries, and continents. For example, she lives in Durham. And then preposition of for, since, ago, and before. For use to show an amount of time. For example, I'm just going to bed for an hour or so. Since used from a particular time in the past until a later time or until now. For example, England have not won the World Cup in football since 1966. Ago used back in the past, back in time from the present. For example, the dinosaurs died out 65 million years ago. Before use at or during a time earlier than. For example, she's always up before dawn. Preposition during or when. During is used before a noun to say when something happens. It does not tell us how long it happened. For example, nobody spoke during the presentation. While is used with a subject and a verb to talk about two things that are happening at the same time. For example, the phone rang while I was watching TV. Preposition by or until. By is used not later than, at, or before. For example, she had promised to be back by 5 o'clock. Until is used up to or the time that. For example, we waited until 6:30 for you. Preposition as or like. The preposition as and like have different meanings. As plus noun means in the role of. For example, he worked for a long time as a teacher in Africa. Like plus noun means similar to or in the same ways as. For example, that house looks like a castle. Exercise. Thank you for your attention. We hope you can understand with our explanation. See you.